I was home alone on Christmas Eve. The footprints led inside. I didn't plan to be alone on Christmas Eve. It just happened that way. My family lives 3 states away. Flights were expensive. Work was busy. I told myself I'd make it up to them later. The building was quiet that night. Too quiet for a place with 12 units. No music. No laughter. Not even the usual argument from 3B. Snow started falling around 6. Big flakes. The kind that swallow sound. I made dinner, watched half a movie. Fell asleep on the couch. I woke up to the heater clicking off. That sudden silence. It pulled me out of sleep like a hand on my throat. I checked my phone. Jam 11:47 menit p.m. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Right outside my door. I held my breath. Listened. They stopped. I told myself it was another tenant. Someone coming home late. Someone drunk. Someone normal. I went to the peephole. The hallway light was on. The carpet was clean earlier that day. Now it wasn't. Wet footprints. Bare feet. They started at the stairwell. Stopped directly in front of my door. And then continued. Away from it. Down the hall. Toward the spare bedroom. I didn't open the door. I couldn't. I locked it. Twice. My heart was pounding hard enough to hurt. I texted my roommate. Did you just get home? No reply. Her name was Emily. She moved in 3 weeks earlier. Quiet. Polite. Paid rent on time. I'd barely seen her. The footprints didn't go back toward the stairs. They went inside our apartment. I grabbed a kitchen knife. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. I opened the door. The apartment smelled different. Cold. Like snow and metal. The footprints led down the hallway, straight to Emily's room. Her door was open. The light was on. I stood there for a long time, listening. Nothing. I pushed the door wider. Her room was immaculate. Too immaculate. The bed was made tight. No wrinkles. No indent where someone had slept. Her suitcase was open on the floor. Clothes folded inside. Not unpacked, arranged. On the dresser were personal items. A hairbrush, lip balm. A small snow globe with a church inside. Everything looked staged, like a display. I checked the closet. Empty. No coats. No shoes. I looked down. The footprints stopped in the middle of the room. Just stopped. No exit. No trail back. I felt stupid for waiting so long. I called the building manager. He answered on the 3rd ring. Sounded annoyed. I asked him if Emily was supposed to be home. There was a pause. Then he laughed. That unit hasn't had a second tenant in years, he said. I told him her name. Described her. Another pause. Longer this time. That room's been empty since I took over, he said. Are you feeling okay? I told him about the footprints. He told me to call the police, so I did. They arrived fast. 2 officers, calm, professional. They saw the footprints, the room, the belongings. They didn't look confused. They looked concerned. They asked me where Emily was. I told them I didn't know. They searched the apartment, the building, the basement. Nothing. One officer asked if I had ever seen her ID. I said yes. She showed it to me once when we were splitting utilities. They asked if I remembered her last name. I did. They stepped outside to make a call. When they came back, their faces had changed. The older one asked me to sit down. He told me the ID number matched a woman who died in 1998. House fire. Christmas morning. Same building, same apartment, same room. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I said that wasn't funny. He didn't smile. They asked if I'd be willing to stay somewhere else for the night. I packed the bag. Didn't go back into the bedroom. Before I left, I noticed something new. More footprints. Fresh ones. Leading from Emily's room. Stopping at my bedroom door. Facing inward. The officers didn't comment on them. They drove me to a hotel. I didn't sleep. Around 4 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Merry Christmas," it read. I blocked it. The next day, I went back with my brother. The apartment was normal. No footprints. No cold smell. Emily's room was empty. Completely empty. No suitcase. No dresser items. No snow globe. Like it had never been occupied. The manager changed the locks anyway. I moved out a week later. I tried to forget it. I almost did. Until yesterday. I was unpacking boxes in my new place. One of them wasn't mine. Inside was a folded sweater. A hairbrush. Lip balm. And a small snow globe. When I shook it, the snow inside didn't fall right away. It drifted slowly, like footprints. I took the babysitting job because it was close to Christmas and my savings were gone. The listing was taped to the lobby board of my apartment building. Overnight sit, cash, easy. The parents lived 2 floors up. Same building, same hallway I walked every day. They said they'd be back before morning. They weren't. Their apartment was warm and normal when I arrived. Toys on the floor. A half-decorated tree blinking in the corner. The baby monitor hummed softly from the kitchen counter. The father showed me where everything was. The mother smiled too long. She kept checking the time. They said the baby would sleep through the night. Then they left. Coats on. Door shut. Footsteps fading down the stairwell. Midnight came. Then 1. Then 2. I texted them. No response. I called, straight to voicemail. The baby never cried. The heater clicked on and off. The apartment settled around me. I noticed a door at the end of the hall that I hadn't seen before. Closed. Plain. No handle on the outside. I assumed it was a storage room. At 3:17 a.m., the baby monitor crackled. Not crying. Breathing. But heavier. Like someone was standing too close to the mic. I checked the nursery. The baby slept. Face calm. Chest rising and falling. When I turned back, I saw the hallway door open. Inside was a bedroom. Perfectly clean. Too clean. The bed was made tight. Corners sharp. A suitcase lay open on the floor, with clothes folded inside like a display. Not unpacked. Just arranged. On the dresser sat a hairbrush, lip balm, and a small snow globe with a church inside. The room smelled cold, metallic, like snow. I noticed footprints on the floor. Wet, bare feet. They led from the window to the center of the room, and stopped. I closed the door and locked myself in the living room. Morning came without the parents. I called the police. They arrived with questions and calm voices. They took the baby. They told me the parents' car had been found abandoned near the river. No bodies, no answers. I gave my statement. I went home. A week later, I needed a roommate. Rent was impossible alone. A woman named Emily answered my ad. Quiet, polite, paid cash. She moved into the spare room. The same room I'd seen that night. I didn't tell her that. I didn't tell anyone. Emily kept to herself. Her room was always immaculate. The bed made tight, clothes folded. Her suitcase never emptied. On her dresser sat a hairbrush, lip balm, and a small snow globe with a church inside. I felt sick the first time I saw it. She noticed my stare and smiled. Said it was a keepsake. Sometimes I heard her walking at night, bare feet on the floor. Slow, careful. She never cooked, never watched TV, never had guests. She paid rent on time, always cash, always exact. Around Christmas, the heater started failing again. The apartment grew cold at night. I woke once to find wet footprints in the hallway, leading from her room, stopping outside mine, facing inward. I asked the building manager about the spare room. He looked confused. Said my unit had been a one-bedroom for years. Said the second room was sealed after a fire in 1998. I laughed, told him he was mistaken. He wasn't smiling. That night, Emily didn't come home. Her room was open, empty. No suitcase, no belongings, no snow globe. Like she'd never lived there. The footprints remained. Fresh, leading from the center of the room to the nursery I didn't have. The police returned. They asked about Emily. Asked if I'd seen her ID. I had, once, when we split utilities. They went quiet after checking it. Told me the ID belonged to a woman who died in a house fire on Christmas morning, 1998. She had been babysitting. The parents never came back. They asked me to leave the apartment. I packed a bag. I didn't go back into the spare room. As I left, I noticed new footprints. Small ones. Leading from the hallway to the front door. Then stopping. Facing inward. I moved out the next day. Tried to forget. I almost did. Last night, as I unpacked in my new place, I found a box I didn't remember packing. Inside was a neatly folded sweater, a hairbrush, lip balm, and a small snow globe with a church inside. When I shook it, the snow didn't fall right away. It drifted slowly, settling into thin white lines, like footprints. And from my bedroom, I heard a baby breathing into a monitor. I didn't believe in signs, not really. But Christmas Eve has a way of bending things, and I had only moved into the apartment a week earlier. An old building with cheap rent and thin walls where the heat rattled and the pipes talked back. The ad said one roommate, quiet and clean. Holiday schedule flexible. Her name was Claire. I met her once briefly. She smiled without showing teeth, wore a red sweater with white trim, said she worked nights and liked things neat. Her room was at the end of the hall and the door stayed closed. And on Christmas Eve the snow started early, heavy and wet, the kind that makes the city feel abandoned. I cooked for one, watched TV, waited for the usual noise from neighbors, but there was nothing, and around 9 p.m. I heard a knock. Slow and heavy. 3 knocks, and when I checked the peephole, Santa Claus stood in the hallway, not a mall Santa or a cheap costume. The suit looked old and worn, the red dark and almost brown, the beard real and matted with snow, and he raised his head and looked straight at the peephole, making me step back as another knock came, closer and harder, and he said Merry Christmas in a voice that was too calm and too close. So I didn't answer, and when the footsteps moved away slow and dragging, I locked the door and checked my phone. No missed calls, no texts. And I tried to laugh it off until I smelled something cold and metallic, like snow melting on rust coming from the hallway. And Claire's door was open, even though I hadn't seen her leave. So I grabbed my phone and walked closer, and her room was lit perfectly, the bed made tight with hospital corners and no wrinkles. A suitcase open on the floor, with clothes folded inside like a display, not unpacked, just arranged. And on the dresser were 3 things: a hairbrush, lip balm, and a small snow globe with a church inside. The snow frozen mid-fall. Everything arranged too carefully, like someone wanted it found. And when I looked down, I saw wet bare footprints leading from the hallway into the room, and stopping in the center, with no exit and no trail back. So I backed away just as I heard the knock again, not at my door, but at the bedroom window. 3 slow taps, and I ran back to the living room, locked myself in, and called the building manager, who answered irritated until I asked him about Claire, and there was silence before he said that room hadn't been rented in years. And when I told him she lived there and paid rent, and showed me her ID, he paused again and said the room had been sealed since 1998, after a fire on Christmas morning, making my mouth go dry as he told me to call the police, which I did. And while I waited, there was another knock at my door, and the voice said "Merry Christmas" again, closer and lower. And when the police arrived, they checked the hallway and found no Santa and no footprints, but when they went into Claire's room, their faces changed. One asked if I'd touched anything, and another asked about the suitcase. And they found an ID inside with Claire's face and name, issued in 1996, and expired in 1998. Cause of death listed as house fire in the same building, same apartment, same room. And I laughed, because I couldn't stop, while they didn't, and they asked me to pack a bag and said I shouldn't stay the night. And as I grabbed my coat, I noticed the snow globe was gone, and so were the footprints, until the older officer stopped in the hallway and pointed at fresh boot prints, large and heavy, leading to my door and stopping there facing inward. And they drove me to a hotel where I didn't sleep, and at 3 a.m., my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number that read "Merry Christmas," which I blocked. And the next day, I went back with my brother to find the apartment different. Claire's room gone, and replaced by an unbroken painted wall, and the manager swore it had always been that way. So I moved out that afternoon, donated my Christmas decorations, threw away my red sweater, and tried to forget. And I almost did, until tonight, when I heard a knock. 3 slow, heavy knocks, even though I live alone now. And when I looked down, there was snow on the floor, and a red glove resting on my welcome mat. And inside it was a small snow globe, with snow falling again. And behind me, in the dark reflection of the glass, Santa smiled, not wearing a costume, waiting to be let in.